if somebody were to purchase the Rejuvenator for a specific ailment, like let's say someone has, I don't know, diabetes or something. So is there a little accompanying booklet or a website that says, okay, put the Rejuvenator here or there, or put it for a week, on your kidneys
Yeah.
and then.
Well, yeah, yes, but it's not like a cookie cutter formula like that. So I have a community, a free community that everybody gets to join. All of my customers get to join. I give free personalized healing guidance and support in the group. That's where you go on my Instagram, you see hundreds and hundreds of testimonials that you can see are screenshots from people. And these are all shared with permission, with verified permission from people in the community. Yes, please share my testimonial. I want to help other people. So they share their information right in the group, so you can see this is Mary Sue from Oklahoma, or John from England, or where, I mean, because they're all over the world. So whoever is like sharing their testimonials, like you can see that these are real people in the group and the phenomenal healing results they're getting. So in the group, because they're like Western medicine will give you a label and a diagnosis, which is very cleverly designed, because then you get attached to your label and then you become your label. Like I've met people that the first thing I have cancer. It's like, that's the first thing they'll say to you. And it's like, do you have a name? Like they don't even identify with themselves anymore. They're just like, I'm cancer. I
Yeah.
have cancer, you know, um, and or I have fibromyalgia, or whatever label they've been given. The more rare the diagnosis is, the more important they get to feel that, oh, it's really rare. Very few people have this, and the more they get to feel like I've got this very rare condition, and they get more attention that way. But so when you realize that everything can be connected with a root cause, so diabetes would be spleen, stomach energy, and liver gallbladder energy toxicity. So with diabetes is very easy. Again, another thing that's very easy to heal and treat. But people have gotten diabetic usually, and again, it's that spleen stomach energy deficiency where they're trying to nurture themselves through eating a lot of sugary stuff. And now the sugary stuff these days, it's not even real sugar. It's like this high fructose corn syrup and all this stuff that causes these sugar spikes and insulin spikes in the body. That's what creates the imbalance in the diabetes, because you're like spiking and crash, spike, crash, spike, crash. Your body can't handle that. It's like I don't know, throwing something against the wall over and over again. And it's like it's eventually going to break. How many times can you do that? So, so I always talk about, you have to stop putting the sand in the gas tank. So you can't keep, like Western medicine wants you to believe, well, you can keep going and eating at McDonald's every day. And that's no problem. It's not about what you eat. We're just going to give you a pill. You have to make the conscious choice to stop putting garbage into your body. So if you're eating non-foods, like so many people in Western culture are these days, because there's so much like you look at the
Fake
ingredients,
food, yeah.
yeah, it's not even real. And it's like that. I tell people the easiest way to know how to eat food is eat things that are as close to how they come out of Mother Nature as possible. So if you're eating animal meat, then eat the animal the way that it's like, slab of beef or whatever, like, but not turned into, like sausage that's like got all these artificial cuts. Nothing wrong with sausage, nothing at all wrong with sausage if it's made the way that they used to make sausage, which is just you know, meat and the fat and herbs and stuff like that. It's not, it's all the other garbage that goes in, the artificial flavors, the preservatives and the colors, and then the extra fats and all this, this stuff that's not real food. So it's the refined foods that have all this extra garbage that's added in. So even things that people are eating like cookies or breads or things like that, most of those have so much garbage in them. And the base ingredient is glyphosate laden wheat, especially in North America, Canada, and the United States, where Monsanto, all the wheat has, well, not all the wheat, but all the conventional wheat that has loads of glyphosate in it, which is very toxic. So they're eating things, they're eating these wheat-based products. And again, nothing wrong with wheat. If you're eating real wheat, like ancient grains, before they started modifying them to be, like stripped of nutrients and be able to, well, even before that, be able to withstand high levels of glyphosate and toxic, pesticides. Original wheat, it has a completely different genetic makeup than the modern wheats. And then, but then when they take the wheat and then they turn it into flour and they bleach it and do all this other stuff,
Yeah,
it's
enriched, all
basically,
that. Yeah.
yeah, and it makes it shelf stable. So it'll be there for like 100 years from now, but there's no nutritional value in it. So it's not like so many people have been conditioned, well, I can't eat wheat, or I can't eat gluten, or I can't eat, it's like you're not gluten intolerant in most cases. What you are is glyphosate intolerant, because you're at a toxic overload state and you eat something that's got glyphosate in it, and then you become like it just has a severe reaction. So I've had so many customers that are like, I used to think I was gluten intolerant, but now I can eat wheat-based products, but I make
So,
conscious
yeah,
choices
yeah.
to eat real,
Taking
not.
taking it back to diabetes. So yeah, I understand. So the person that would want to purchase the Rejuvenator in order to heal their diabetes, right, would want to first change their diet, eliminate all this junk that's constantly
Well, but they
aggravating
get
their
to
food.
learn all of that in the community, because one
Ah,
of the things when people ask a question, because they'll usually put, oh, I have type 2 diabetes. What protocol should I use for that? And then I'm like, well, first of all, tell
ah,
me what you're eating. Tell me what your actual symptoms are. Don't tell me what your label is. I want to know what your actual symptoms are, because so many diagnoses are like, it's a blanket term to discover or to describe when people have, you might have 5 or 6 symptoms under this blanket label, but you don't have all of these other things. You've got these, and they're like, well, you must have this, so we're going to give you that label. And I'm
so
like, I don't want to know the label. I don't care about the label. I want to know what your actual human symptoms are, because you might have all the symptoms that have to do with spleen stomach energy deficiency, but you might not have these other ones over here that are still in Western medicine covered under the same, you know,
yeah,
generic
yeah,
label.
I see what
Um,
you're saying. Okay, yeah.
so, but type 2 diabetes is almost all, I mean, I don't think I've heard of a case where it isn't diet and lifestyle. It didn't come it didn't come just out of the blue. It's from diet and lifestyle. So knowing what the things that you're eating that are contributing to it, um, because people will go to their doctor and they're like, well, we're just going to put you on insulin. It's about trying to medicate and control the symptoms instead of resolve the problem. But again, they don't learn any of this in medical school, because the medical schools are controlled by big pharma. So big pharma governs what the curriculum is that people are being taught. I mean, it's all a money mill. So basically they're spending all this money to go to medical school to become glorified drug pushers. And a lot of medical doctors, and I have a number of friends that are medical doctors, who have woken up and realized that they were they were just being pawns in the system to be drug pushers for big pharma. So they've gone and gone out, because they're certainly not going to learn this stuff in medical school. They learn things on their own. Some become experienced in homeopathy, some become, integrative medicine specialists, some, they'll do different things. I have a ton of medical doctors that use the Rejuvenator for themselves and then prescribe it to all of their patients, because it's the thing that really works. It addresses and heals the symptoms. And then they also get to learn in the community, these are the things that you need to, like, because it's like not everybody's eating the same garbage aspects of diet, but it's like, even things, somebody that has spleen stomach energy deficiency, like let's say that, oh, I'm a raw foodist and I eat raw food all the time, but you have spleen stomach energy deficiency. That means that all that raw cold food you're putting into your body, you're depleting that energy system even more. Theoretically, it's healthy stuff if you're in balance, but everything in moderation. It's like raw cold food is typically going to be very hard for the body to digest. If you have super strong spleen stomach energy, sure, you can integrate that into your diet in moderation, but ideally, cooking the foods, lightly steaming vegetables, makes it a lot easier for your body to break down. But then, there's always two sides to every coin. So that's why everything in moderation. Don't just go full blown, raw food, because everything then is going to be cold and very hard for your body to digest. And that's going to weaken spleen and stomach energy, especially if you have any of these self-nurturing psycho-emotional issues. Like I want to take care of everybody. And the secret wish is that somebody will eventually take care of me, right? If I take care of everybody else, then somebody will come and help me, right? And it's a self-fulfilling prophecy where it's like, because when it's mothers or people that are caregivers for everybody, they're like constantly taking care, and then people just kind of start taking that for granted. Oh, she's always here to lean on, she'll take care of me, and she
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know
that's
and then when the mom gets sick, it's like everybody's like, Mom, get out of bed, what's wrong with you, I'm it's like,
I know.
so
Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah, it's a yeah terrible misunderstanding, right? Like the person is giving, 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 thinking somehow that's going to come back, but actually they're training
yeah.
people to
Exactly,
expect
exactly.
giving,
Well,
giving.
and it's often people in the healing arts are very often, deficient in spleen, stomach energy, as was I, because we don't, we think we want to help everybody else. And we need to, the big lesson is to learn how to take care of ourselves. We need to focus on taking care of ourselves and prioritize that. And that's not only okay, it's actually good. It's one of your life lessons to learn. I need to take care of myself so that I am here to be able to help other people, and like setting boundaries. I've had to go through that learning curve myself, because I was, like I said, when I was working in the healing arts, I was getting so depleted because I was like helping everybody and doing all this work and not doing things to recharge my own batteries, because so I just kept getting more and more burned out. And then I realized, so I stopped. I'm like, okay, this is like when I was in engineering and I was getting depleted because I hated my job. This time I love helping people, but I'm like, I need to take some of that energy and focus on myself, and I use the analogy often of when you're on a plane. If the plane has any turbulence or anything, or it's like about to crash, the oxygen masks drop down, and they always say, put your own oxygen mask on first. The reason you have to do that is because if you don't, you're going to pass out and you're not going to be around to help your loved ones. So you have to take that oxygen mask and put it on yourself first. Then you can help the people that are with you, or the people that you want to help, whoever it is. Then you've taken care of yourself. Now I can breathe. Now I'm here to help other people. So you have
Total sense. Yeah.
to prioritize taking care of yourself. And a lot of times that is setting boundaries. It's like, I have certain hours that I'm working. It's like, nope, I don't work on the weekends. Don't expect me to reply to email. So I have a lot of very clear, but it's like, and I just make it, like, so people don't have expectations, because when you're constantly giving and giving, and then you like decide to stop, people are like, wait a minute. You used to answer the phone. You used to
Yeah, it's
answer the
true. Yeah,
phone.
again, we train people. Yeah, like in
Yeah.
yeah. Um,
So, but you can train them the other way.
yeah, train them the other way. So I know like you're saying such amazing things, right? So I want to, but I want to kind of start closing our
Mhm.
conversation. But I
Yeah,
really
there's
do
a
want
there's
to
a
know.
lot of topics within
Yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we covered so much. It's like great stuff. I want to talk about the flow state and colors,
Mhm.
right? So I know
Okay.
that you became an artist and you felt,
Mhm.
kind of like sort of drawn, right? And you even state, throughout your journey that whatever you felt like you followed your flow to, whether that's going to Italy, whether that's learning,
Mhm.
drawn towards healing, whether that's being drawn towards art, it like universe opened the doors to you. You didn't even have
Right.
to advertise, right? It just
Exactly.
it just
Yes.
out of you organically. Now,
Yeah.
give us a little bit more about those colors. Like you said, and I remember this from our previous conversation, you're
Mhm.
actually able to diagnose someone or let them know,
Mhm.
according, what's going on with them, what they need according to their color cravings. So okay, go.
Yes. Okay. Well, I'll give you some examples, because sometimes examples are easier instead of me trying to cover the whole spectrum. Well, I will give you kind of like a primer for the spectrum, the color frequencies, and within the rainbow. I've realized I haven't explained this. Every color has several different subcolors within it. So like there's different frequencies, or nanometers is the common, nanometers being wavelengths. So like in red, like and there's no cookie cutter system. Like everybody says, oh, red starts at, 600 nanometers and goes to 700. Others will say it's 610 nanometers and it goes to 690, or whatever it is, where the cutoff is. it's just like when you're coloring and you're mixing colors together, you can put, red and yellow, paint on the canvas. And if you put some of the yellow into the red, what will happen to that red?
Well, I guess it will change. What color will be created from yellow and red?
When
Uh,
you add yellow to red, it becomes orange. So red, orange, yellow. So when you put yellow with red, it becomes orange. So red, orange, yellow is like a gradation. So there's red, and then there like the pure red,
yeah.
which is like just red without any orange. But as soon as you start getting a little bit close to orange, now it's becoming reddish, orangish red, more orangish red, more the closer you get to the orange. That's why there's no one delineation. It's like, okay, well, who's subjectively saying now we're in orange? Bless you. So I wish I had a color thing here. So then it becomes orange at some point. Like again, nanometers are the numbers that are used to describe the wavelengths. So the longer wavelengths like red, orange, and yellow, those penetrate more deeply than the shorter wavelengths, which are like, blue, indigo, and violet. But I'll get off on a whole tangent if I start going too much into that. But anyway, so red is only red, pure red at that one point, and then it starts getting red, orangish red, and more orangish red, and more, and then at one point, then you're like orange, but there's still some red in there, and then you're orange, and then you go into more. Now I'm getting more yellowy orange, more and more yellowy orange. So that's what I mean. It's like every there's a nanometer, there's a wavelength for each one of those colors. So there might be 100 different nanometer measurements within one color, or 80 or 90 or whatever. And again, it really is subjective, because it's like now this is starting to look like green, but before that, okay, so it goes red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. So as you go up the spectrum, like the chakras, the colors are changing. So there's 7 defined colors, but there's hundreds of colors within those 7 colors. Does that make sense? So technically the visible light spectrum, again, loosely goes from 400 nanometers in the, violet range to 700 nanometers in the red range. So violet to red. That's 300 different wavelengths within visible red, if you use that as your cutoff. Anyway, all of those, every one of those frequencies comes from sunshine. So when you go out under sunshine, you are getting bathed in all of those colors. Different times of day have more of some colors than others. So at dawn, when the sun is low on the horizon, what color is the sky at dawn?
You're asking me? Gosh,
Yeah.
not much of an early bird. Um,
Well, also at dusk. At dusk, when the sun is setting, what
that's
color
more
is
of
the
an
sky?
orange, pinkish.
Yes.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
sunset.
red, orange, and yellow are the colors that, like as the sun is coming up, the red will be the first, and then
I
orange
would
and
say
yellow.
yellow. Yeah.
Yeah. So those are the longer wavelengths that come through when the atmosphere is thicker and you've got the sunlight is coming through. You're only going to get the longer wavelengths to come through, red, orange, and yellow. As the sun starts going up higher in the sky, that's when the shorter wavelengths, like the green, the blue, which is why the sky is blue, because now you've got all the short blue wavelengths coming through. And anyway, but that's just in a nutshell how something popped up on my screen. So red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet are all within sunshine. In the middle of the day, you're getting all of them coming through. When you add all of those colors together, it becomes white light. So it's not like early in the morning, it will actually have a reddish hue. You can see like red, everything looks kind of reddish. But as the colors go higher up or the sun goes higher up in the sky, now you've got all the colors mixing together and turning into white. So when you're out under sunlight, everything looks like, oh, it's illuminated with white light, just like a white light bulb. So, but all those colors are within the sunshine. The only time you see the 7 spectral colors split up that are always there within the sunshine is when there's a rainbow in the sky. Or you take your garden hose and you spray it in the air, and you look and you see the sunlight come through the water droplets. It's the same effect that's happening when there's a rainbow. It's like after it rains and there's water droplets left in the atmosphere, and the sunlight comes through, the white light of the sun comes through, and it splits up into those 7 spectral colors. So that's where you get the rainbow in the sky or with the garden hose. Anyway, so those colors that you see when there's a rainbow, where everybody's like, oh, there's a rainbow. There's always a rainbow. There's always a rainbow when you're under the sun. You just don't see the rainbow because they're all mixed together and they become white light. So every time you're under the sunshine, you're under like rainbow light. So like, it's always there. So you're getting those healing colors every time you go under sunshine. So again, we evolved to live and thrive under sunshine. And when you are, when you're not getting sunshine, that's like starving yourself of one of the most important nutrients that we need. So like food, you need real food, right? To live, you need to breathe clean air to live. You need to drink clean water to live. You can eat garbage food for a while and your body will try to process it, but it's going to start bogging down. It's like, you know, it can't handle all that stuff it treats like plastic in the body. It's like, I don't know this isn't food. What am I supposed to do with it? So what it does in women turns it into cellulite, because it's like this toxic sludge, you know, that river, you know, thing, that sludge that I'm going to stick it over here where it's safe on the side and won't get in the way of the water flowing down here that's feeding all the animals and, you know, taking care of the plants. It's like, we don't want that crud. We're going to stick it over here. That's what the body does. With women, it's cellulite. With men, it's a beer belly. That's why you'll often see men, you know, older men, where they have these skinny, skinny little chicken legs, but they've got this enormous belly. It's like, they're not fat. They're certainly not fat. If they were fat, they'd have fat, chubby legs and chubby arms. That's just their toxic dumping ground. That's where the body puts it, because it's like the river trying to like, okay, I've got to keep it off here off the side. With women, it's cellulite. So it's the same thing. You know, it'll start depending on where different women will start their cellulite, their storage facility. You know, like some will start on their hips or on their butt or on their belly. It will eventually get to, you know, backs of the arms. Like that's when you've got a lot, like, because normally it's going to start somewhere in the midsection and then the thighs, you know. So that's just quagmire effect. That's toxic sludge. It doesn't matter how much you diet. It's not about cutting calories. It's about getting the toxic sludge out. It's like going with like a scooping thing, and you got to get all that toxic sludge that's sitting on the surface of the river. Anyway, I went off on a tangent.
Oh, we're talking about the flow state and
yeah, okay.
Color cravings. Like, what is, if
yeah,
we're craving pink, what does that mean? You know?
So, okay, so the thing about getting into flow using the colors that you're craving. So the premise is like all of these colors, we evolved to live and thrive under all of these colors. Some days we need more of one color than others. So depending on what's out of balance in your body, you're going to need certain colors. So like red, I'm going to use red and blue because those are kind of, people have a pretty good feel. Like red is warming, stimulating. Blue is cooling, calming, sedating. So red, the colors of the spectrum go red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. This is the red, orange, and yellow are stimulating, energizing colors. They're also physical colors, more physical, because they're lower in the chakra system. They're like that root chakra. Red is all about survival, and it's energizing. It's that life force, you know, like that thing that drives you. But it's physical, like physical life force energy, like blood flow. Think of red blood. And I'm trying to not mix too many things in here at one time. So red, people might crave red when they're feeling tired or lethargic. They're like, I want to be around some red because it gives me like, it's like having a cup of coffee. It gives me like, it literally does the same thing that caffeine does in your system. It stimulates the sympathetic nervous response. So it gives you that boost of energy. That's why a lot of these industrial plant grow lights will be like, people will stand in front of them and they'll be like energized, because it's like drinking a Red Bull. So, but it doesn't last. It doesn't have a lasting effect. Like it's like you get the crash after the Red Bull. So I hear this all the time. Also, it's like, yeah, it gives me a boost of energy, but then it wears off. Like I can't maintain it. It doesn't last. The Rejuvenator, literally, because it's got the quantum healing energies and the energy medicine component, it's filling up your life force energy gas tank. It's not just using red to give you that artificial, boost of energy. It's literally putting energy into the system. So it's like the difference between getting sunshine in the middle of New York City, where you're getting, you might be getting bathed in the sun frequencies, but there's also all the smog and the pollution that is coming through, and you're breathing that in. And then all the, the electromagnetic frequencies and the chaotic energy, all of that is siphoning off that life force energy. Like if you go to a place that's just full of toxic energy, it's literally depleting your life force energy every minute. Like it's sucking that out of your system. And that's why it's the same kind of concept. If you get in an argument with somebody, like you're perfectly fine, then you get in an argument with somebody, and that toxic energy that that it's like hitting you in the solar plexus, you feel depleted afterwards. It's like, I'm exhausted. I just want to go to sleep. You know how it just zaps your energy?
Yeah.
That's how quickly we can get affected by a situation or living in a place that's constantly depleting our life force energy. And it's very common that people live in cities and they just feel exhausted and tired all the time. And they don't know that it's like literally because you're not getting any life force energy from your surroundings. We used to live in conjunction and connection with nature. So we would get our battery recharge from going out into nature. You go and we spend time in the woods or next to some beautiful pristine ocean, or up in the mountains with the water flowing, or wherever it was, where people were living in connection with the earth, farming and growing their own foods and things like that. When you live in harmony and you live in connection with the earth, you're getting that battery recharge from the earth itself. You're getting it from nature. So, but you're not going to be getting that in the middle of a city, because there's a net negative effect. The cities have a depletion of energy, and they're like, it's like a vacuum. It's like sucking the life force energy out of people. So you get chronically depleted, and you have to drink more coffee or Red Bull or whatever just to get through your day. And that chaotic energy. And a lot of times people don't even realize when if you've ever talked to somebody and they just are like you feel they're like, you're energy sensitive, so you would know, like when they just are like, oh my god, it's like they've got this chaotic energy and they don't even realize it, and you're kind of like, I want to stand far far away from you, because it's just unpleasant. It's kind of like somebody kind of poking you in the arm, like here, hey, like pay attention.
Right.
So anyway, being in the sunlight is not enough. You have to get the healing energies that are abundant in nature. And there's different names for it: chi, prana, ki, life force energy, 0 point energy in physics. It's the same thing. It's the thing that keeps you alive. When you have less and less of it, your body is physically dying, because it's like it doesn't have enough of the life force energy. It's like, take a farmer and he's got to go work in his field all day. And you're like, okay, farmer, just go out there. You woke up, you ate, I don't know, 12 hours ago, but we're not going to give you any breakfast. So go out and work in the field. And then after a couple hours, he's like, I'm so tired, like, and then collapsing, it's like you can't, you need to have the breakfast. You need to have the fuel to keep you going, and that's another thing, like people eating sugary stuff for breakfast, which is the worst thing, because it's like putting kindling on a fire where it burns very quickly, and then you get a crash. And then it's like, oh, I'm starving all the time. It's like eating, really healthy fats is like a slow burning fuel, like putting a big log. Once the fire gets going, you put that big log and it burns for hours. So that's another thing. And the Western diet, like people used to eat, bacon and eggs for breakfast. It's very like lots of fat and calories that help you to go, no sugar. Sugar is just like spike, crash, spike, crash. You're always, it's like fast burning kindling. You want to start a fire, you want to put some kindling on to get it going, and then you want to put a big log. That's what's going to burn for a long time. So anyway, I got off on another tangent. They were talking about flow. So being in flow and using color to get into flow Like I said, that was a discovery that I made while I was, well, when I started painting, that was how I was creating these paintings, because I realized that, while it started with indigo and blue. I happened, not indigo and blue, indigo and violet. I happened to be craving those particular colors because I started working with a couple of, tubes of paint, and I'm mixing this color and I'm like, oh my God, I can't stop staring at this, indigo that I'm making, indigo into violet. And I just was like, literally, I still remember the feeling. It's like, I couldn't stop staring at it. It
And
was
what did
just
that
like,
mean? Yeah, what was that? What were you really craving
well,
in
indigo and
violet?
blue are like, sixth and seventh chakras. So those are getting into the more subtle energies, but also more the intuitive and visionary aspects. So for whatever reason at that point, probably because I'd been working in such a physical realm and helping people with their, physical issues. And I was working with cancer patients primarily. And but working with the psychological aspect and doing a lot of things that were unconventional, like Komi body-centered psychotherapy and connecting the physical body to the psyche and all of this stuff. But anyway, I was really craving getting into those elevated states of consciousness, which I've been in, thrived in throughout my life. I mean, it's a natural thing and it's a natural recharge for me. I didn't realize, I mean, I didn't consciously know that was why I was craving I wasn't even thinking about it at that point. I was just like, oh my God, these colors look amazing. I just kind of like almost want to eat them. So those were my first flow paintings. Like that, they weren't, I don't call them flow paintings. I happened to be in flow when I was creating them. But anyway, and those very, very, very first paintings are actually owned by somebody that they're hanging in the same room as an original Miro and a Picasso. So like they're like literally a high-end art collector. And they're in the same room. The discovery for me, and then going through that realization that then I got the download, after, short story, like the 3 months, compress that, and then we have the 1 night exhibition. Then I get the download. Now you need to become a full-time professional artist. And I was like, that doesn't, I'm like, that's not going to be interesting enough for me. I really was like, I can't imagine that being fulfilling enough for me. I like painting and I get fulfilled by that, but doing that is a whole thing. But the reason for having to do that was, again, because it was the catalyst for all this other stuff. I needed to do that. And then when I didn't need it anymore, then I didn't need to be a professional artist anymore. But yeah, so that I would actually go to my studio, because I would usually only paint 2 or at most 3 days a week. I didn't paint every day. And I would kind of make a decision at the beginning of the week what days I was going to go to the studio. And many of those days, it's like I had no desire to paint. It's like, but it's just one of the things about creating a flow practice, you have to have the discipline to put yourself into whatever it is that you're doing. If you're a writer, you literally have to put your butt in the chair and start writing. And you might feel like, I don't want to write anything. There's nothing that's coming to my mind. But the practice of getting, starting, you just start writing gibberish, or just start whatever stream of consciousness, whatever. You can get into flow through starting to do something. So for me, with my painting practice, because there were so many days, it's like, I don't feel like driving to my studio and painting. I have like zero desire to paint today. But I would go, it's like, nope, today's going to be a studio day. I'll go. And I just would start by, kind of tidying up things. I had a bunch of travel magazines that I would flip through, and I would I would figure out what colors am I craving today, because I'm not trying to left brain it. I'm just going to look at a bunch of things that are very colorful images. And then I'd see, oh, this teal keeps jumping off the page at me. I like 20 different pages. I see that teal, in all these different images. So I'm like, okay, that's the color I'm going to start with today. And I'd start mixing up paint. And I'd always have at least, a dozen paintings going at any one time. Like, because I did many, many layers of paint, translucent layers of paint. So that's where you get all this depth when you shine lights on my paintings, and then it comes back through. All this energy from all those color frequencies comes through, and you might see a top layer that, like, it might look like a red painting. There's a lost. Might look like a red painting on the surface, but there's all these other colors underneath it. So anyway, and so I could always, it's like, okay, I'm feeling like working with this teal color today. So, and I'd look, okay, well, that painting there will work well with some of this teal and that one. And there might be 3 canvases that, so I'd mix up the color, or there might have been like 2 or 3 colors. It's like from, subsets of that. And then I'd be like, okay, I'm going to work on this painting and then put a layer on, and then I would get these downloads, like what to do, like spray the paint, put it on the floor, now tap it, or, lift it up and jiggle it around. And I created all these techniques that I had so many people that were like, they went to art school and spent all this money and time at art school.
So these
Like,
colors, you were
Mhm.
actually, it was like a healing process for you, right? Because the color
Exactly.
you were craving, you were expressing your painting, and then the people that purchased them, they had a strong kind of a visceral response to certain colors or certain ways you arrange the colors. So it was actually
Yes.
a healing process. And I like what you said about the flow state, because you said that, because I know a lot of people might fall into like, well, I'm just going to wait till the inspiration or I get into the flow.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
No, you do
That's,
have to create some kind of structure, right? And
yeah.
then even kind of start up, kind of spark your inspiration. You would look through magazines, you started like allowing. So uh
Yes.
so thank you. I know, and there's something I just wanted to add also, because we're going to be closing. There
Mhm.
is that you're giving a gift. I think that's really generous. So if somebody's interested in some of these colors, right? If they go to your website, they can get the free healing color screensavers that were actually printed
Yes,
in
there's
your painting.
Healing Colors screensavers, and as part of if you're doing a gift thing on the summit, we can talk about that. Something that you can include, that will be a link that only people in the summit will be able
Oh
to
yeah.
get. But this free Healing Colors screensavers, anybody that's watching this, you can go to either catalyticcolor.com. I've got 2 websites. One is my name, Leanne Venier. That was the URL that I'd created when I was a full-time professional artist. LEANNEV as in Victor, ENIER.com. That's where the paintings are and things like that. But the catalyticcolor.com, CATALYTICCOLOR, like catalytic converter, but catalytic color, the American
We'll have that
spelling.
written out on the screen and also
Yeah.
in
Well,
your
sometimes people are listening auditorily also, so they're but the either of those websites, if you input your email address, you'll get a link and it will take you to where you can go and download all of these Healing Colors screensavers. So they're my paintings in the different colors of the spectrum that you can use both as a diagnostic and as a healing tool. So you can like download all of them, and then it's like, which colors am I really craving today? Which of these paintings looks really appealing to me today? Oh, it's the blue one. Oh, it's the blue one over and over again. Or today it's the blue one, yesterday it was the red one, or whatever it is. You can use
yeah.
it as and then there's information with each painting that tells you what the color energies of that, what those color energies do for you and why you might be craving them. And then also you can use them like on your screen on your computer or whatever device you're on, full size, and literally use them to stare at them for a few minutes, and it will reset your energy system because you're taking in that color energy from these healing paintings.
Oh,
The catalyticcolor.com, they're sister websites anyway, and they'll both take you back and forth, but the Rejuvenator information is all on the catalyticcolor.com website, and there's more information about that, on my Instagram also. All of my social handles are the same. It's my first and last name, Leanne Venier. So those are always whatever social media platform, whether it's Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever. They're all Twitter, X now. They're all the same.
yeah.
So they're easy to find. But yeah, the 2 websites, catalyticcolor.com and leannevenier.com. But getting the Healing Color screensavers and they're full resolution, so you've got really nice, clear images. But I get so much feedback from people using those for like, oh, now I understand what's out of balance with me today and why I'm feeling
Oh, I
this
know.
way.
What a beautiful
Yeah,
tool.
you don't even,
That's so gentle too.
yeah. Yes, and you don't even need to know that part. That's just the left brain logical part that sometimes people want to understand, but you don't even need that. You can just be like, I'm really craving looking at this teal painting today. I'm gonna like stare at it, and then it makes you feel better. So, and you don't have to analyze it if you don't want.
Thank you so much for today. Gosh, we kept you for a long time. You gave just amazing information. It's like a
Thank
wealth of
you. You
information.
gave a lot of your, yeah. Thank you, Natasha. And yes, we did cover a lot of very, very disparate pieces of information, but there's more on my websites, and there's lots of videos on YouTube if people want to know more. And but this is going to be a good starting point for a lot of people. And thank you so much for having me in the summit.